Hello everyone, welcome to our family property presentation today, which forms part of our International Mediation Awareness Week. Firstly, we would like to acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as the traditional custodians of Australia and pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. We recognise the continuing connection to land, water and community. International Mediation Awareness Week was created to showcase mediation taking place all over the world. The Mediator Network team has set out to encourage more engagement with this form of dispute resolution by using this weekend activities throughout the year to promote mediation at an international and regional level. We are working with a growing number of organisations and individuals to bring you International Mediation Awareness Week, and are delighted that we're joined by some amazing and passionate individuals who help make this such a success. This week is brought to you and managed by Mediator Network in collaboration with our global partners and regional coordinators. I am Anna Hansen and shall be your session host, and we'll be introducing you to your speakers shortly. Before I do that, I need to remind you of some house rules. These are that the sessions are being recorded today, so we ask that you kindly turn off your camera and audio if you haven't done so already. There'll be a question and answer session at the end of the talk, so please put your questions in the chat box and I'll be able to pull out some of those questions for our speakers later on if we have time. If you drop out of the session at any time, please log in and I'll be able to let you back in again. I'm delighted to introduce to you our speakers, Fiona Kirkman. Fiona is an accredited specialist in family law. She's a mediator, lecturer, FDRP, and the principal of Kirkman Family Law. She's also the CEO and legal founder of the fabulous family property app and software. So we welcome Fiona here today. We also have here with us today Emma Erlach. She's a lawyer, legal tech innovator and head of product for Smokeball Australia. So we're fortunate enough to also welcome Emma here today. Fiona and Emma will be taking you through today's session of technology for family mediators. So I'll hand you over to Fiona and Emma. Fiona?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear
you. Sorry, my internet is a little unstable. I don't know why. But sorry?
I think it's the weather. It's okay. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I'm hoping I could share my screen. Otherwise, I may have to get you to do that, Emma. It's coming back online now. Won't be a moment. Okay. Thank you. Can everyone see my screen? No, not yet.
No, can't see any.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
We can see it. We can see it now.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this webinar on technology for family mediators. And as many of you may know, Family Property has joined forces with the awesome practice management system Smokeball, and we've been working quite closely with them to actually develop a mediation type within their Smokeball practice management system. So today we're going to showcase through a webinar some of the challenges that you may face as family mediators running a mediation practice, and how technology, being the combined technology of Smokeball and their practice management system and Family Property, can work together to help you be more efficient and improve productivity as a mediator. So many of you may know me, and thank you for the introduction, Anna. I am CEO and legal founder of Family Property with my techie husband, Tim, who's developed the product. And I continue to run mediations through my practice, Kirkman Family Law, focused exclusively on family mediation and resolution without court. And I'm quite involved with the Mediation Institute, who's hosting this International Mediation Awareness Week on behalf of the Australian contingent. And I really love supervising mediation students and doing lecturing in mediation, wearing many hats and educating the next generation of mediators. So that's a bit about me, but over to you, Emma.
Great, thanks Fiona. Yeah, hi there everyone. My name's Emma Erlach, and thanks for the introduction already, Anna. So yeah, I'm the head of product at Smokeball Australia. I've been working in legal tech for the past 4.5 years. I'm really focused on finding innovative ways for technology to solve problems that family law practitioners and mediators face every day. So I'm really pleased to be here presenting today to share some of the ways in which we have found at Smokeball that technology can really help family mediators.
Great. So do you want to introduce Smokeball a little for those that don't know Smokeball?
Yeah, thanks. Yep. So Smokeball's a full end-to-end legal practice management system that, as Fiona's touched on, we're currently building out for family mediators. So we've put a lot of focus over the last couple of years into solving a lot of the challenges that are faced by family lawyers. And we're just now starting to work on tailoring the software for family mediators as well. So it's really exciting. So our software really allows you to track your matters from cost disclosure to finalized agreement with fantastic features like automated correspondence and as well as seamless integration with family property that we're pretty proud of. So we'll talk more about the specific features that are most useful for mediation throughout the presentation.
Great, thank you. And for those that don't know family property, we're really an expert system to really assist you actually conduct the family parenting mediation or family property mediation from intake to disclosure, and then at the heart of family property is the dashboard with an interactive balance sheet for you to model the various financial proposals, a parenting calendar for you to model the parenting arrangements, and then automated documents, for example, a balance sheet or proposals, heads of agreement, parenting plan, all automated from the information within family property at a click of a button. We'll go into some of those features during this presentation. So what we want to achieve today, I'll briefly discuss the rise of family dispute resolution in Australia. I've been doing some Techie Tuesday events and some other events around the new Federal Circuit and Family Court of Australia, and how mediation is becoming quite important, not just pre-filing, but after filing, and how technology can assist in that. We then want to identify some of the challenges I know I face or have faced in running a family mediation practice, and how we can better navigate those challenges and tips to respond to those challenges. And of course, there's Q&A. You're welcome to ask any questions. I know we've got a chat functionality, and Anna will be monitoring those. And we're happy, I think, Emma, to take questions as we go through the presentation. If there's any burning questions on a particular slide, we're happy to take those as we go, and we'll stop for questions, but then we'll allow a few minutes at the end for a proper Q&A session. I think we've scheduled for 45 minutes, so hopefully we can finish up at about that 35-40 minute stage and have some questions at the end. So that's what we wanted to achieve today. If you could add into the chat just before we get started where you're from, what's your experience in family mediation, whether you're using any technologies at the moment. We want this to be as interactive as possible. I want to learn more about you as family mediators and how we can assist you through the use of technology. So feel free to add that into the chat and any other questions you have. So the rise of family dispute resolution, I know there may be some people from overseas, but focusing on the Australian market and what is happening in the family dispute resolution world in Australia. You may be aware with the new, we call it the FCFCOA, it's a bit of a mouthful, but the new Federal Circuit and Family Court of Australia commenced on the 1st of September. And there's a new case pathway where in the pre-action procedures, for example, in parenting matters, it's mandatory, it has been for quite a while, but it's also dispute resolution must be commenced prior to commencement of court proceedings. You must file a certificate of dispute resolution, a genuine steps certificate before commencing court proceedings. But you'll notice after the commencement of court proceedings, there's a new step which, although was becoming more common for matters to be referred out to private mediation, it's now a mandatory step in the pathway that parties are either going to have to participate in internal dispute resolution, such as conciliation conferences or parenting conferences, or if they can afford to do so, and what I'm finding is if they've got the financial capacity to do so, they're being referred out to external mediation or external arbitration for both parenting and financial matters. So as mediators, I've definitely seen an increase in work, particularly in the lead up to Christmas. I know everyone wants to resolve everything before Christmas. It's always the aim in family law, but I particularly have seen an increase as a result of the FCFCOA new pathway. And yeah, if you can add to the chat box if that's been your experience as well. So a few things with that pre-action procedure, be aware that as the professionals, we need to comply with the pre-action procedures. Dispute resolution may encompass family dispute resolution, but might be negotiation, conciliation, arbitration. There is that mandatory requirement to participate in family dispute resolution if it's parenting. And whilst property, there's not an equivalent Section 60I certificate, that is one of the grounds for a genuine steps certificate that prior to commencing court proceedings. So we really have to, the parties really have to be making a genuine attempt to settle. And if they can't reach an agreement, exchanging a notice of intention or to try to reach an agreement, complying with the duty of disclosure, and then filing this genuine steps certificate, which the lawyers complete or the parties complete. We don't actually sign off on this document, unlike the Section 60I certificate. But this certificate, as you can see here, it's a bit lengthy, as most of these forms are, but it does say, have you made inquiries about dispute resolution, invited the other party to participate, have they participated, etc. So it's a bit of a tick the box as to whether they've complied with those pre-action procedures. So that's pre-filing. Post-filing, as I said, within 5 months of commencing court proceedings, there's a referral back to dispute resolution for both parenting and financial matters. If they've got the means and capacity to pay for private dispute resolution, they will be likely to be referred out to mediation, family dispute resolution, or arbitration. Arbitration is for financial matters by consent. Alternatively, they may be referred to court-based dispute resolution. There's a whole lot of preparation they need to do, and family property will showcase a bit of that preparation, including the automation of the confidential case outline, which in the past people would do position papers or case outlines, or they'd send a letter as to what the preparation is. Now it's a standardised form, this confidential case outline, which looks like this, that sets out the documents relied upon, what they think is in the best interest of the children, the asset pool, the issues relevant to a property adjustment, chronology, and that needs to be certified by the lawyers or the parties and provided to the mediator. So again, dispute resolution, if it's referred by the court, is confidential, and the parties have to participate in good faith and try and make a genuine effort to resolve disputes. And if they don't make that genuine effort, for example, if they don't attend, then we as mediators actually have to fill in a form called a certificate of dispute resolution to say whether they've participated, made a genuine effort, disclose their costs, etc. And if they haven't, that may be taken into consideration by the court in assessing whether they've been compliant, and there might be costs, consequences, or other consequences if they haven't genuinely participated in our dispute resolution process. So there's real focus in the new pathway around family dispute resolution, and I think that's an exciting thing. I think it's great for us as mediators, but also from a technology perspective, that's why we're building out the Smokeball mediation type, and really focusing on the automation of some of these confidential case outlines, etc., for family property, because we really think this is the way of the future. So if you've got any questions about that, please feel free to add them into the chat, but I might move on to the other slide, noting time constraints. Was there any questions around that, Anna?
No, not at all.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
So if you wanted to add into the chat, what are some of your biggest challenges in running a family mediation practice? So maybe one to three, put them in the chat. And maybe Anna, I know you're a mediator. What are some of your challenges?
As a mediator?
Yes.
Oh, so one of my challenges is I'm also a lawyer. So it's actually trying to juggle two hats and not wear one hat, whilst mediating. So another challenge of mediation is where there are parties of high conflict. So yeah, that's a major challenge.
Okay, thank you. We will be looking at some of these challenges just to get your mind happening as to some of those challenges. We have spoken to a few mediators. What we've come up with, and I think Emma's going to touch on how family property and Smokeball can address or help you navigate some of these challenges. I know for me, management of the workload, too little work, too much work. How do we monitor that work and have visual indication of visualize and have an understanding as to the leads and the matters to make sure we've got enough in the pipeline, but not too much so that it's manageable. So that's one area we're going to touch on. Two, scheduling of mediation sessions. I know, Emma, you've got some discussion around that.
Yep, sure do.
How Smokeball can assist with integration of Outlook calendars, etc. Transitioning from face-to-face to online. I know I do, I think, almost 99% online at the moment. I've got a few face-to-face mediations coming up before Christmas, but which I'm excited about, but predominantly online, particularly in light of the COVID lockdowns in Sydney. Accessibility to documents, files and information, getting those documents and information, how can we do that seamlessly? And family property and Smokeball, we can showcase how we can do that. No whiteboard if we're doing things online, how do we capture the information and the proposals? Drafting and signing off on agreements reached in mediation, how can technology assist with that? The need for additional admin support and being efficient and productive. I know Emma's going to touch on that. Getting paid for the work and invoicing and getting the fees paid. Emma will touch on that. And then working with lawyers, as you've said, Anna, how do we collaborate best between mediators and lawyers so that we're not reinventing the wheel all the time in the information exchange in particular. And then limited supervision and collaboration options. So if there's any other challenges that you're facing, add them into the chat. I think Larissa said file management as a sole practitioner. So I think that's one that Emma's going to cover off as well.
Yeah.
So Emma, over to you. I think the first one was managing the workload. Too much work, too little work. How do we use technology to assist with that?
Yep, that's right. Thanks, Fiona. So to address this first challenge that family mediators face, which is really a lot to do with having not much visibility of work coming in and going out, Smokeball provides a really great way for you to actually enter in leads. So leads meaning, potential new parties that are wanting to have a mediation, but maybe that mediation doesn't go ahead. There's no sort of way, I guess, from a manual perspective to track that nicely. But in our software, we have really great reporting tools like this lead insights report, where you can really clearly see, like, this number have gone ahead, this number haven't, and why. So being able to track all of that is really a great way to stay on top of your workload. Once you sort of have a good idea of how much work is coming in and going out, you might be able to put more focus into attracting more work or less work, depending on what your capacity is like. So yeah, definitely with our reporting tools, you're never going to lose sight of, I guess, the health of your business.
And I know for many of us mediators, you're one of 3 names being put forward, and often it's the same law firms in the local area that are putting your names forward. So you can get that information not just about leads, but referrers being the lawyers often.
Yes, that's right. We've got lots of reporting around referrers, so that you can really nicely track, that X number have referred you, a certain amount of business, and all of that as well.
Great. And the second thing, or challenge 2 and 3, was around scheduling and moving to online mediation and Zoom mediations, for example. How does Smokeball assist in that regard?
Yeah, so I know that trying to stay on top of your calendar can feel really overwhelming sometimes. The great thing about Smokeball is that we've got a two-way synchronization with the Outlook calendar. So just to ensure that you're never missing an upcoming event, you're going to get notifications in both systems so that you're on top of your schedule and things are running smoothly. And then, of course, with things transitioning to a more remote or even hybrid model, you might not always be able to do your mediation sessions in person. So we do have Zoom integration as well, which is great.
Great, and that enables, that's synced so that you can put the pre-mediation conferences in as well as the mediation sessions and invite parties directly from within Smokeball, all set up instead of doing it in separate systems, etc.
Yeah, that's right. Make it nice and easy.
So as part of that, moving to the online space, utilising the right tech tools. So I'm sure you're familiar with many of these, but just to highlight a few of them, new ways for families is of relationship space, that post-separation parenting courses online. I think I've seen a growth in that area. I think it's very important for family mediators to be aware of those courses and be encouraging those. Our Family Wizard or similar, those post-separation communication apps. And then obviously Family Property and Smokeball becoming the must-have for mediators. So yeah, just to be aware of the tech tools that can help you as mediators, and then really becoming familiar, getting into the sandbox so that you're familiar with them, and so you can educate the parties and lawyers, etc., if they're going to be using them during the sessions as well. So next challenge, accessibility to information. I might do these 3 all together. The challenge was, how do we get that information and documents? So collecting and disclosing information and documents online securely at a time and place that suits the clients. So mobile, to better prepare everyone for mediation. So Family Properties questionnaire and disclosure portal can assist with that, and I'll show you that in a moment. The 5th challenge, not having that whiteboard. So instead of a whiteboard, using technology to accurately calculate, model, compare and save proposals through an interactive balance sheet for property mediations. And lastly, challenge 6, modelling and drafting agreements. So how can you model the various parenting arrangements and then automate documents such as a parenting plan and heads of agreement. So I might just stop that screen and just actually show you the other parts of the technology. Can everyone see my screen there? Yes. So with Family Property, there's a lawyer version and then there's a specific mediator version. So it's really designed by mediators, myself and others, for mediators. So it's not just we've adapted the lawyer version, it's for mediators. With the questionnaire, you can invite party A, party B. They can do it in their own space and time. It's all automatically saved, so they can come back and do it over multiple sessions or one at a time. We've built out the questionnaire so recently, so it's not just the general information such as personal details, relationship, children, living arrangements, but it all has all categories around the property and finances. So to be able to conduct a full financial mediation, so income, expenses, assets and super, liabilities, other sides, assets, liabilities and super, as well as contributions and future needs. For those lawyers in the room, that 4-step approach of looking at the asset pool, contributions, future needs, what's just and equitable, we ask the questions in plain English to get the right information so you have it all entered in once, and then it populates throughout the rest of the product. We've then worked on, and we've worked with quite a few people around this, on the current situation, or basically a risk assessment, suitability assessment that we know as mediators. So where they're at, where they're at as far as legal advice, mediation advice, proceedings and orders, and then family violence, providing some relevant information that's tailored to their particular state or territory as well, and then how they're coping, so stress and separation, drug and alcohol, mental health. So it really asks all the questions needed for you to do a full suitability and risk assessment. And then lastly, we've recently introduced the parenting, so information around the children, their education, health, etc. So it's really a good way of getting the information. The second challenge and how a family property can assist is getting documents. I'll just make sure this is opening for me. But disclosure is often one of the areas, getting the right documents. So family property assists in making recommendations around the documents that they need to upload. And then it gives them a list of documents to upload, even some tasks to do. And then easily they can go in there and select a document, upload it. And then you can see that this has 2 documents, valuations there. They can then easily download those into a zip file, a document index, or share those documents. So it's really an easy way. And then you as a mediator can go in, or you can give your client the ability to go in and make those documents accessible to the other side. And when they're made accessible, then Alexander's document will come up, as well as Sophia's document. So all the documents, instead of snail mail or emails, all those documents are in that one place. The last couple of challenges, so the neutral balance sheet, as you can see here, it brings party A's side and party B's side together. It highlights in red the areas of dispute. As you can see here, $1 million versus 1.5. I know the Sydney market's going up and down very quickly, but you can see the different proposals here, and you can go through one item at a time and look at, okay, well, let's agree maybe 1.25 for the purposes of mediation. And then are they going to retain it, or are they going to sell it? You may look at, okay, well, we'll sell it, but we'll do something in the middle, 60-40, and we'll apply that to both parties. You can go through that for each item. And as you go through, you can work with the parties together, or you can go into private sessions and work with them individually, going through asset, the liabilities, and the superannuation. You can then model out what, for example, if both parties agreed on a 40-60 split, what does that look like? And I'll just show you down here, 40-60, there's an additional payment to Sophia of $10,400. So you can work through that with the parties, and then you can actually generate a whole bunch of documents, including a heads of agreement. So this is a template, so you can add your own logo and automatically generate that document, which I'll show you here. So it's got the financial effect of the agreement, and then a summary of the wording. For most of us as mediators, we should be encouraging them to get legal advice and sign off on the formal binding and enforceable consent orders and the application for consent orders. But this can really help by generating the heads of agreement with all the figures, with clear wording as to who is retaining what as part of the agreement. Lastly, with the parenting, as you can see here, there's 2 children. We can put a general schedule in, for example, a Friday to Wednesday here, and then it automatically populates into a calendar. And we can set out the school holiday arrangements, say it's 50-50 or a week about. It will automatically, as you go through, work out what the general routine for the children is and what happens during the school holidays. That can be printed on a fortnightly or monthly basis. And then as mediators, we tend to focus on the parenting plan, so we can generate, again, a template document with a parenting plan. Again, this is wording that is part of our template, but you can put your own logo, your own wording around that, and that will automatically populate the party's details, the children's details, and what the living arrangement is, each alternate weekend, what the school holiday arrangement is, so what first half, second half, alternating each year, and then we'll automatically put the dates of those special occasions, the party's birthdays, Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and what the arrangements are, as well as specific agreements that might be reached, and you can add or remove those as you wish. So I know that's a bit of a whirlwind tour, but wanted to highlight how family property can assist across those areas. Was there any questions on that?
No, there's no questions yet. Does anyone have any questions that they want to post before? No?
No? If we've got time, we can come back and do it a bit slower, but there's a lot to cover. So I'll move on to Emma. Emma, one of the next challenges was, how do you manage the admin? How do you make sure you're as efficient and productive as possible?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely pretty big challenge. Yeah, when you feel like, you know, you're getting caught up in admin every day, can really slow you down and just no good. Definitely Smokeball can help you with that. It's almost like having your own personal assistant or an admin working for you without the extra cost of having that. There's lots of different features in the software that can really help you with this, and I'm not going to talk through all of them today. There's way too many, but some of the really key ones that I think are great for family mediators are definitely the fact that we're building out an individual or a specific matter type available for family mediation, where you're going to be able to enter in all of the parties that are a part of that mediation, including any legal representation that they might have and any supporters as well. All of that's really great. And what that then means is you can actually send automated correspondence to each of those parties as well. And what I like to say too is, you know, stop living in email. It's pretty frustrating being in there all day, every day. We have a really great tool called Communicate, which allows you to send secure messages to your parties directly from within Smokeball. It means that you're not constantly jumping in and out of Outlook all day. And the great thing about it as well is, you've got the two-factor authentication that you can have turned on for that feature, and you can actually send documents of any size via Communicate. I know via Outlook it can be really frustrating. You've got to zip things up and all of that to get large documents across. And you know, one of the key challenges that I think even somebody mentioned in the chat box is just being able to manage your files. It's really frustrating if you're running manually. You've got, you know, everything in desktop or in your downloads folder or in Outlook. It's all over the place. Just having a practice management system means that you have all of that important documentation in one spot. So you're not having to, you know, jump around. And then, finally, one of the other really great features we've got are workflows and matter stages. So, you know, if you want to sort of automate your processes, get things running a little bit quicker and smoother, you can set that up in the software as well, so that you're triggered to do particular actions at certain stages of the mediation. So what I might do, instead of just talking about it, I can jump into sharing my screen just to show you guys a little bit of what mediation in Smokeball looks like at the moment. It is still a work in progress, and I'd love to hear any ideas that anyone on this session has about what we can add in to really help you out. But we've got something so far, which is exciting. So this is Smokeball here, which you can see, and I've got a couple of open mediation matters in my file list, which really nicely, I can actually set up stages for each of those matters and actually clearly see from this main screen where they're at, and also when the next task is due on each of those matters as well. And if I just jump into it, you can clearly see, I've just got a couple of files saved to this particular matter, but if I did have any emails, I could save them all here. They'd all be accessible from my Smokeball matter. Any letters or correspondence I've sent, any documents I've drafted, like a proposal or the heads of agreement that you've generated in family property, anything like that. We support multiple file types as well. If for some reason you've got videos and text messages and things like that, they can all live in this documents section down the bottom here. And in support of that, you do have, the details of each party to the mediation, some additional information that you can enter in as well about when the mediation is actually occurring, and set up that two-way calendar synchronization that I talked a little bit about as well. And just to give you a little idea, sneak peek of what our communicate tool looks like too, you can see a nice little message that I've sent here across to one of the parties with a document attached. So for that party to then receive the document, I can opt to have two-factor authentication turned on if it's particularly secure or private information, so that it can only be accessible once their identity is authenticated. So pretty cool stuff there. I'll stop sharing and we can jump back to the slides.
Yeah, thank you, Emma.
I think the next one's me anyway.
Yes. Do you want to talk about invoicing? And invoicing. I know, particularly with small business owners, it can feel really uncomfortable doing invoicing, but it's so important, right? Like if you're running your own business, you've got to make sure that there's cash flow. So technology, I think, is so key in this area in particular. If you're manually producing the invoice, sending it via email, how do you know when to follow up if that hasn't been paid? How do you stay on top of it? It's just a pain and nobody likes doing it. So definitely use technology for this part of the job. We have a piece of software called Smokeball Billing, which at this stage it's fully accredited for legal accounting, compliant in New South Wales for Law Society. And we will continue to look at building out features for mediation as well, like split billing. But at this stage, you can set up multiple debtors. So if you've got two parties and they're both, owning the cost of your invoice, you can set it up so it will be addressed to both of them, which is great. And the really cool feature, I think, for something like mediation is the ability to set up payment plans. So, you're sending out automated reminders to those parties that, hey, their invoice is due, and you're not having to manage that yourself. So definitely great. Another really great part of the software is our reporting as well, that goes hand in hand with all of that. You can stay on top of the debtors by running reports all the time and just seeing, how long certain invoices have been outstanding or not, and, write them off or follow them up. So yeah, I think that's it for me on that one. So just a couple of questions of that, Emma. So Smokeball's definitely now got the mediation type, so you can add both parties, and then when you're invoicing them, you can invoice to the two separate parties automatically through that. Yeah,
so you can add multiple debtors. So I can have 2, 3, 4, however many I want. We don't yet have split billing where you can say, okay, half to this person, half to that person, but we're working on it. So the first sort of step is having those multiple debtors, which I think is a great first step. You can sort of, I guess, talk with them about who owns what percentage of that total invoice at this stage.
Or you can do two separate, you can generate two separate invoices. That's what I tend to do. Generate the two separate invoices and then just follow up the ones that are outstanding. Yeah. Great, thank you. And one quick, I'll just share my screen. One of the challenges I think Anna highlighted at the beginning was sometimes collaborating with lawyers and working with lawyers and wearing the lawyer hat and then working with the mediator hat. As we know, if we're working as mediators, we can't also be providing the legal advice. So it's really important to have those collaborative partnerships and be working as a mediator with those two lawyers. Family property can assist with that. And I'll just highlight two things. One is we've got this new form, which I mentioned at the beginning, the confidential case outline. You as a mediator can actually, with a shareable link, send that to the lawyer to complete electronically, and then that will all sync into your account. So that's a good feature. With the confidential case outline, there's some information here. It looks, if you've already got the information within family property, for example, the balance sheet, then that will all be automatically populated into the document. And then, as you can see here, it's a little bit slow, but all of that information, their names, and as it goes through, the chronology, percentages, as you can see here, the balance sheet, who's retaining what, is all automatically populated, the chronology, etc. So it really saves a lot of time in preparing what is now a mandatory document. The last thing with working with lawyers, we do have two features, mediation sync or transfer matter. So if you're working as a mediator and you know the other lawyer is going to be preparing the consent orders, the application for consent orders, and they have family property, you can actually decide, okay, I want the balance sheet, the contributions, future needs, relationship, children, income details to be synced with the other account. And so instead of repopulating everything and having to fill it in again, you can actually, with a code, set this up, and then the lawyer can be transferred all of the information from the mediator's account, and vice versa. The lawyer can push it to the lawyer. So that's a really unique feature and something that we've been working on. And I know within Legal Aid New South Wales, that's how we do it with the various lawyers and the mediators, and that's what we're rolling out privately. I'll just come back to our screen, screen share. So the last thing is supervision and collaboration. Tell us about Smokeball community, Emma.
Yeah. So I wanted to build out a space where, well, it was really designed for lawyers and the clients of Smokeball that we have already, just for them to be able to reach out to each other and really ask questions about, a particular matter that they have that's maybe unique or whatever it is. And I think this is a great space probably for mediators going forward as well, where they can sign up, join in, ask questions of their peers, really share ideas and solutions with other mediators.
And for those that you may be aware, we've got an online family mediation FDRP group. We've got 586 members, so quite a few people across Australia. And that's really to share insights about best practice mediation, and it's not designed to be a complete supervision, and we have to post things about our particular matters anonymously, but it's really helpful in sharing about events, sharing about specific fees or how processes for mediators. So if you haven't, do join the Family Mediators FDRP group. I know Joanne, who's hosting this webinar, is one of the co-admins for that, which can be a bit of work at times, but it's a really collaborative group in helping us support one another, because it can be a bit lonely in our work as mediators. And then I know Mediation Institute does offer some online supervision, so just promoting that as well. So I think we're right at time, and I'm very big on sticking to the time, but if you could just put into the chat one or two key takeaways that you've had arising from this webinar that you may, or a question that you have. I'm part of the Meet the Mediators at 5:30, and I don't know if Emma wants to stay around for that as well. If there's lots of questions, I'm happy to answer questions in that Meet the Mediator session at 5:30. But was there any specific questions, Emma? Sorry, Anna or Emma?
Yeah, there is one that I feel is very important. So there's a question from Larissa. Now that family property is part of Smokeball, will there be any changes to pricing for each product?
Pricing is always an issue. And we're actually having a strategy day in a few weeks and looking at, we've already got an integration, like a version 1 of the integration, but we've been having a few strategy days on how we can work towards a more deeper integration and how we can work together more on a bundled pricing model for Smokeball and family property and potentially sales and training, etc. So stay tuned, but these things do take some time. We only just did finalise the acquisition at the beginning in October, so we are working on it, and yeah, we're keen to get your feedback on it as well. Larissa will have to reach out. Do you want to add to that, Emma?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a positive thing, right? Like now that we are one, essentially, I would like to think that the pricing will become more attractive anyway in the long run. So it should be good news if anyone was concerned.
We're just trying to get it right. It's always a bit difficult when it comes to pricing. It's not my favourite topic, but yeah, we will be working towards that, and definitely keen to get your feedback on that as well.
Thanks, Fiona and Emma. Thank you for this wonderful session. We are unfortunately running out of time. I'd like to thank you for attending today's session. We want to say a huge thank you to Mediator Network, Mediation Institute, our sponsors, collaborators and volunteers who've all contributed to making this week a success. Please book onto other events if you can that are taking place. Just log into the portal and register for your session. I'll paste a link in the chat box for you. There you go. Make sure you have a look and book onto the global debate, which is being chaired by Jonathan Lux. This will be an interesting discussion on whether the Western model of mediation is fit for a multicultural society. We'll be joined by representatives from all over the world. We also have a Meet the Mediator session directly after this session with Fiona and hopefully Emma as well and I, where you can ask mediators any questions you may have. So if you want to hop onto that session, please do so. It'll be very informative. So once again, I thank you for joining us today. Thank you to Emma and Fiona. It was very informative today, and we hope to see you in one of our other sessions.
And I'm just adding the link here to the Meet the Mediator session.
Wonderful. Thanks, Fiona.
And if you want to get in touch with family property or Smokeball, there are some links there as well in booking a demo and finding out how it can help you in your role as mediator. Emma, did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, same thing. Of course, if you want to learn more about Smokeball and what we're doing as far as mediation is concerned, we've got our link there too. So just let us know.
Great.
Thank you everyone for coming. And